Terrific.
All right, so everybody, Mr. Tony Todd. The tragedy of this, of course, is that we only have an hour with you.
Oh,
and
man.
there is so much we can talk about.
Sorry if we're a little tardy.
That's okay. We're at that point where we almost started chanting your name 5 times.
Oh, no. Well, I'm happy any chance I get to come back to Seattle. I love this part of the world, the Northwest corridor. I've done 2 plays here, both in Seattle Rep. They were well received. The last one was 12 years ago. And August Wilson piece. And August, of course, lived here for many, many years before his passing. So I got to originate King Henry II, which is the second to last play. It was a 3.5-hour opus at the Seattle Rep to rave reviews. I love jazz so far. We got here on Thursday. I've gone to 2 jazz clubs. Last night I saw a Miles Davis tribute over Tua's, which was fantastic. And the food is unbelievable. Pike's Market is one of the best farmers market in all of America. So congratulations for having a livable city and friendly people and jazz love and obviously horror fans. So thank you for all this.
Thank you for saying so. I think it's great that you mentioned jazz as a very rhythmic but improvisational thing.
Absolutely.
And that sort of, in your kind of career, fits your voice. Have you ever done any jazz singing?
No, I'm not a musical guy, but I just did a new version of Frankenstein with Bernard Rose, who directed Candyman. And unfortunately, our distributor kind of dropped the ball, but if you go on Rotten Tomatoes, you'll see that it's got a 100% rating. 100%, which is a rarity. And I got to play in the original novel, he encounters, and also encounters a blind man.
Mm-hmm.
So Bernard updated it to Los Angeles, and I play a blind, homeless blues musician who's he encounters in the alley. So he asked me, he says, "Can you sing?" And I said, I love music, and but I got a lot of blues musician friends out of Chicago and St. Louis. So I called them, and they just told me to sing the truth. And we got the rights to Muddy Waters and Managed for it. So got to channel that, and hopefully it's a good job.
We'll all keep
So
our
please,
eyes out for that.
support Frankenstein, support Bernard Rose. He's a terrific director, underrated, and he's right now in Japan shooting a samurai epic. So, and then after that, we're going to be doing Death of the Report together. New version of that. Edgar Allan Poe, can't go wrong.
Let's talk about Chicago for a moment.
Sure, one of my favorite cities.
I have a coworker from Chicago, and I told him I was going to be doing his panel, and he freaked out.
Wow.
He said, "Why do you want to do that? That guy's going to kill you."
See, this is the problem when people confuse acting
Exactly.
with doing a good job of a character and a person.
Exactly.
You'd be surprised who I am.
Well, that's what I was trying to explain to him. It's like, no, he's just an actor, and his answer was, "Not in my hood." How do you react to that? You have the personal and the professional, but the idea that there are neighborhoods in a major American city where people are afraid of you and this character that you play.
In some ways, I just have to take it as a form of flattery. But the good thing, I'm sort of a social activist as well. And one of the things that Candyman has allowed me to do, because it is so revered in certain inner city pockets of America, is I do a lot of gang intervention work. So it allows me to go to different places and get different factions and sit down and talk with this common reference point. And then I can share with them my personal story, because I grew up poor. I grew up raised by my aunt at the age of 3, rescued me, saved my life. And always from the moment I was in her care, she told me I could be whoever I wanted to be. And I believed it. And so, even though we were poor, I didn't know it until I was around 13. And it was because of that unconditional love and the fact that every summer she put me into a different program, whether it was geology or mathematics studies, I really loved that, or history or Boy Scouting and stuff. It just gave me a world view into about me. And then finally in high school, I discovered acting. And from that moment on, you know, it was an open book. And I never doubted it. I ended up getting my master's in theater in Providence, the Trinity Rep Theater Company. And had some great students with me. It was a class of 22 people. And unfortunately, out of the 22, only 3 of us went on to be professionals. And I had a lot of old classmates who reach out to me continuously and try to ask me, well, what happened? What was it? And I'll tell you this, no matter what you do in life, it's about living fearlessly, about having such total belief in your capabilities that there is no obstacle. And I know that sounds like a Hallmark card, but it's absolutely true. Fearlessness, chutzpah, maybe because of my upbringing, the fact that we had nothing, that for me the sky was the limit and it was attainable. So,
And you've attained a lot.
yeah, you know, there's more that I want to obtain, but mostly I've been fortunate. So, and I'm thankful. I count my blessings continually. I'm not selfish and I'm not spoiled. So, yeah.
Well, and there's a big difference also between the Candyman character and some of the other horror icons. Like we have Kane Hodder here, but he's always behind a mask and he never speaks. Michael Myers is behind a mask and he never speaks. Other icons like Freddy Krueger and Pinhead, you hear them speak, but they're behind makeup. Candyman isn't. And it's your voice and it's your face. And do you think that has limited?
Which has followed me ever since.
Exactly. So, was there ever a time when you wanted to step away from that? And say,
No,
this isn't it for me.
well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm an actor, and I'm proud to be an actor. I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm many things. I'm also a writer. I'm a father. The one time that it did sort of interfere with my personal life, I remember, because when Candyman first came out in '92, it wasn't an immediate hit. It sort of like grew. So by '94, '95, definitely people were like stopping me in the street and da-da-da. And one time I was my daughter, who was the light of my life. She just graduated grad school at Columbia and just started her first job about a month ago. And we were shopping, Christmas shopping, and we were in a mall, and everywhere we went, we come in and out of stores, people were following us around. She didn't understand it. She was like 4, and people were snapping pictures, and all she wanted to do was to hold my hand. And finally somebody like said, "Hey, Candyman!" And she said, "That's not Candyman, that's my dad." and that was like a major wake-up call for me, because it separated, I mean, first of all, I never believed the hype anyway, but it was a personal wake-up call that nothing supplants real life. You know, acting is an honor. It's not many people get to do it. I just read a statistic in Hollywood that each year 18,000 people arrive in Hollywood with dreams of becoming an actor. And unfortunately, a year later, 83,000 of them have left. So, in Screen Actors Guild, I think we have a total of 150,000 members, and unfortunately, only 5% of that 150,000 are able to make $5,000 a year. Okay, so it's a daunting profession. I've been good, I've been lucky, and loved, and I've been fortunate. So I count my blessings.
When you started getting really busy in those early 90s years, sort of really started with the Night of the Living Dead remake.
No, actually it started with my first film. My very first film was Platoon. So, you know, about Vietnam experience, and that won 4 Oscars. And because of it, everybody that was in it, from Johnny Depp, myself, Forrest Whitaker, to Keith David, we all got put on the list. And we've all had various careers, and various shapes and sizes, but steady work. And that's not it. So we put our time in, because Platoon was not easy. 4 months in the Filipino jungles, okay? Chain snatching monkeys, green monkeys that would jump out of the sky.
Well,
Cockroaches the size of iguanas.
early in your film career, did that make anything else seem easier? Like, I survived that. You know, this is nothing.
Yeah, no. Some of those guys in Platoon are still some of my closest friends. Corey Glover went on to become the lead singer of Living Color. great band. It's no longer active, but when it was active, it was. Yeah, I don't think, many people have spent, I know this is a big military town too, so for those of you that haven't spent time in active duty or had to survive 4 weeks of boot camp and you don't get to change your clothes for 4 weeks, yeah, I guess it makes you tougher. You get to survive, learn how to survive. I was a sergeant in that, so I had it luckier than some of the men in my platoon. So by that, I meant that I got to choose which MRE I was going to eat. Never eat the chicken a la king. It's soupy, and it doesn't stick around for long.
Well, even in that time, so if we look through some of your credits, your name pops up in some of the not only well-known, but also revered but forgotten kind of stuff. So like, did anybody here see the television series from 1987, Werewolf?
Oh, on Fox.
Like this thing was there and disappeared.
Yeah, it lasted a year and a half.
Yeah, but you were in an episode of that. Later on, you did an episode of The X-Files. Gaining a little bit more fame at that time, number 2, and all that. You had a part in The Crow, 4. So there's sort of this trajectory that we can see of you building up.
Right.
And then, while people latch on to Candyman as maybe your iconic character, the reality of it maybe is that your iconic character is Death from Final Destination. Right? Because there's a few more of them, but it also sort of relates to a lot of the other things you've done. So, does something like, did you see that trajectory happening? Or did it just kind of, I'm taking a job, I'm taking a job, I'm taking a job?
No, I choose. I mean, believe it or not, I'm fortunate. I get to actually turn down roles. Some of them I regret. I did. But, no, it's the luck of the draw. A good friend of mine, Stan Shaw, another African-American actor, says, in Hollywood, if you play one color very well, then they tend to like you to keep playing that color. I've been fortunate because I've been able to bounce around. Whenever things get too familiar, I can always leave and go back to the theater, which is, again, my first love. I've been on Broadway twice. There's nothing like doing Broadway. I'm telling you, you have an audience of over 1,000 people that love it. You finish, you're in New York City, which is probably my favorite city in the world, not just America. And and I'm a jazz fan, so there's like 12 jazz clubs to choose from afterwards, and you can wind out. But I also love film. I grew up watching film. One of the things that bonded me and my aunt to each other was that we would watch the 8 o'clock news together, and then she would use it as morality tale. Okay, so I just watched White Heat with James Cagney standing on top of the water tower. So to you, Ma, and the flame, when he blows up, he says, "What did you learn from that, Anthony?" I said, "Don't stand on the water tower." So so that was good. One of the most proudest accomplishments in my life, my aunt loved Westerns, and I finally got a Western that we shot up in Calgary, Alberta. It was called Black Fox with the late Christopher Reeve. We shot 3 of them, 3 2-hour TV movies. We got to go to the series, and then in between, unfortunately, Christopher had his accident. But while we were shooting, I got to fly my aunt up to Calgary. She'd never been on a plane. She was one of those old school women in the South. I ain't getting on a plane. I don't need to go nowhere that fast. Just stopped. Anyway, I got up, flew her first class. She got off. She cursed me for like a day. Wanted to put me through that turbulence. But then for 2 weeks, she's sitting on the lawn in this great open plane, and the crew made her a special chair that had auntie on it. And she got to watch her baby boy ride stagecoaches, horses, with rifles in the back, big floppy hats, right next to Superman, and the smile on her face during that time let me know that it was okay, that I had arrived, that everything was going to be okay. I was going to have a color television for the rest of her life, and a house paid for. And into her last days, she never forgot that. So.
Did she have a favorite film?
She liked, you know what? Yeah, well, not her favorite film. She might not like soap operas, as most people of that generation like. So after she passed, they offered me to do something on Young and the Restless. I did like 24 episodes of that, and I did it because of her, because that was her favorite show. Her favorite show though was Murder She Wrote, and I did one of those for her, and I also did a Matlock because she loved Andy Griffith, and I did. See, my career is really crazy. It's been loaded with guest star appearances. I haven't done a TV series because I didn't want to get locked into one character, and I'm a character actor. Although right now I am doing a show up in Vancouver called Dead of Summer that's going to be airing in 4 weeks on the Freeform channel. So it's from the producers of Lost and Once Upon a Time, and so it's got pedigree and class, and I play a ghost, and it takes place in the year 1989 in a summer camp.
Sounds like our kind of thing.
So, TV.
Well, having that sort of ability to jump between not only film and TV and theater, but different kind of roles, I would assume that because of that, you've never gotten bored.
It takes a lot to make me bored. It does. I mean, I maximize my time. I also write, so and nothing else. Right now, I'm on a little bit of a stopgap with the writing part, because I'm just replacing equipment. But yeah.
Well, let's talk just briefly, if we can, about. So you mentioned the Kane, good friend of yours.
Yes.
Working on Death House.
Yeah.
How's that going?
It's going well. It's completed. I worked on it for 2 days in LA. Harrison Smith, the director, is very talented. He's a former history teacher. He was able to corral a bunch of us to get together. Death House is a script that was written by Gunnar Hansen, or it's a story that was crafted by him, and unfortunately he passed away last year suddenly. And so we all were able to waive fees, get together, do this in his honor. And he even has an appearance in the film. They found some footage of him, and they're going to weave it into the editing. So rest in peace, Gunnar.
Absolutely. So doing a film like that, putting all you guys together, does that even feel like work, or is it just hanging out with your buds?
Both. We've done that before, like in Wishmaster, Robert, Kane, and I were cameos in that, and then in Hatchet, Kane and I worked together. And the first one I was doing a cameo. So that's we're all different. So nobody's competing with anybody in terms of the marketplace. It's like if you want Kane, you want Kane. If you want Robert, you want Robert. And yeah, I think I can't speak fully for them, but I think that I can say that we're all appreciative of the fandom that we've established, and the fact that you guys support us so thoroughly. It really means a lot.
And like you said,
And we get to interact with you guys. I mean, so many actors I know who are afraid of people. Actors are shy, right? There's a reason they become actors. They get to express stuff that they can't necessarily do in real life. So the fact that the horror world and the Star Trek world has created a fandom base where we actually get to come to cities, looking people in the eye, and you get to tell us what you like and what you don't like, what has moved you, what has been a part of your life is significant.
well, like you said, we love having you guys here.
Yeah.
One interesting thing to me is something like Bushmaster.
Who's going to win the Golden State game today? With your former Seattle Supersonics. I'm sorry. Gary Payton was a friend of mine. He was brilliant. I got to see a couple games in Key Arena. And, but just know that if Oklahoma City does go on, they are going to beat Cleveland. And just know that their roots are in Seattle.
My personal answer to that is I grew up in Utah and the Jazz. You cannot pay me, but
that's all right.
The 96, 97, 95 Sonics can.
Cup, but I don't know what happened in this series because Golden State was the golden child. They were the favorite. I'm a huge sports guy too. That's another thing that keeps me sane. Sorry to interrupt you.
Well, no, that's fine.
It is a current thing though, so go.
It's good for us to know this kind of stuff because sometimes as fans and film and TV viewers, we forget that the actors are people.
Are you kidding me? Yeah.
And
Ask my lady what happens and what religion it is on Sundays or in the fall.
right? And we, you know,
I won't even tell you who my team is because you just said you won't happen.
I could get martyred too and say I'm doing the Patriots.
Yeah, right on.
But what happens is,
No, I grew up in Connecticut, which is part of New England.
so when we do forget that actors are normal people, there's a feeling that among some fans, I'm sure none of those are here, that because we've paid to see your films, that you owe us something. Have you ever had anything like that besides the time when you were?
Yeah, like we do a lot of shit that time, but then I do a lot of, I'm a foodie. I cook. These are the things that I do. I cook, I garden, and unfortunately, I have to do my shopping after 10, usually when it's less crowded. But yeah, when I'm like, sometimes I have to go on for emergency items, and when a fan is like following me around in the paper product aisle and stuff. It's like, oh, what kind do you use? But then I get all clean on and I said, I don't. I use my hand.
Star Trek's another one of those group genres. Maybe some of us are Star Trek fans, maybe some of us aren't, and that's fine. But how is the Star Trek fan culture that much different from horror culture?
Yeah. So first of all, the whole convention circuit started with Star Trek. They invented it. They put the time stamp on it. There was a point in time when every weekend of the year, somewhere, there was a Star Trek convention. And I remember my very first convention was a Klingon convention in Vermont around 1994. And it was maybe 150 guests. It cost $2 to get in. Signatures of $5. Let's rewind. Let's go back there, right? But it was one of the best times. I mean, the entire George was there. Everybody was there.
How does it feel to be part of something like that? When Star
Awesome.
Trek had such a long history before you even got
I
into
remember
it.
seeing the original. I mean, and when I knew that I was going to get on the show because I auditioned for them 5 times before they chose that particular character. So we knew we were going to do business. But when I finally auditioned for Kern, who happens to be Worf's brother, the Klingon, very noble Klingon, I literally walked. It was in Paramount Studios, and I walked out to Marx Brothers building, and I said, I don't know, how did I do? Actors are always second guessing themselves. I could have did this. I could have made this. Even when we get the job, when we shoot a film. If you're a good actor, you leave the set and then you're thinking, you're dreaming, did I make the right choices? Should I have done this? What can I do tomorrow to supplement that? Anyway, I walked off and then the casting director came running out and says, Tony, report the wardrobe. And if you've never seen a Klingon wardrobe, it's like a 10,000 square foot thing filled with Klingon boots and armor. And it's the most awesome feeling in the world. And my first scene was shot on board the Enterprise, so I got to actually be on board a starship.
Did you learn how much Klingon did you have to learn?
Enough to was in the script. I mean, I didn't learn the dictionary.
Like
They gave me the dictionary. No, come on, seriously. What planet are we on? There comes a point when you cut it off, right? But no, I learned enough. And Klingons are I know that there are huge Klingon fans out there in the planet, in the world, in the other planets.
Right. Do those fans come up to you and try to speak Klingon, and you're like,
Yeah, I get a lot of, again, my time at grocery stores is very important. I get a lot of checkout guys from the Klingons, butchers, fishmongers. Sea bass is great today. Thank you.
I love when you do that because your voice is, you have a great voice. What kind of, do you have any regimen to keep that up? Do you get hoarse ever? Is it just sort of natural?
I listen to great music. And rest in peace, Prince, by the way. I got to meet him. Incredible, enigmatic presence. Anyway, this weird year has been weird. Musicality losses. Yeah, you know, I don't have to do anything. I just drink lemon juice and you know, it's weird. Whenever I get into an argument or in a personal life or anything like that, my voice gets really high. That's when I lose all my timber. Cool and it's good. It's, you know, like this. When I get an argument, are you gonna leave me? Don't leave!
I don't think that's a side of you we've seen. But having that kind of voice has gotten you into another segment of work with some voiceover stuff. And one thing that's cropped up recently is you got to do voice of Zoom on the Flash.
That's been great.
So now you have another segment of fan culture.
Yeah, from
Just waiting.
yeah, 5-year-olds to you know 13-year-olds, and something like that, and their fathers.
My son is 3, so he's not watching Candy.
No, is he watching Flash yet?
But he loves the Flash.
The Flash is a pretty well-made show.
And
When they gave me that and they called, I didn't have to do anything. I have a great voiceover agent, no innovative, but they called and said it was like they're gonna play in the DC universe. I already did, you know, I did the Lego Justice League of America Bizarro World, where I played Darkseid, so that was another enigmatic DC villain. And they said, yeah, and they offered 4 episodes, and it turned out to be 16. So we just had our finale last week, and you know, for those of you that haven't seen it, things happen, and now, you know, the good supervillains never transform completely; they just rematerialize.
well, the great thing about it, it's very specific to your voice. He said, I have a 3-year-old son, and I let him watch The Flash. His name is Clark. He's named after Superman.
All right.
But he's 3, so he bounces around a lot. But when Zoom is on and it's your voice, he just stops. And it's really the only time that he really watches. And it's not that he's watching, he's listening to your voice.
That's awesome.
And he just sits there.
He hasn't tried to duplicate it yet.
No. He still has a very high-pitched 3-year-old voice. And then he'll say things like, Daddy, who's that man talking? Well, that's the character Zoom. No, Daddy. Who's talking? So I explained to him, you know, who you were. And he knows sort of that I do this kind of thing, right? And so I made a little clip of some Zoom stuff and played it for him just to see if he would have the same reaction without the TV, and he does. So when he's 6, if he needs discipline, that would work out for me.
That's awesome. Well, you know, I've been told, like, when we made Candyman, we didn't make it for 8-year-olds, right? We made it for adults. But I would say 50% of the people that come to my table at a convention, they all start out with, I watched this movie when I was too young. And I say, how old are you? And the average age tends to be 8 years old. And Bernard told me, the director said, you know what? Because I kept saying, why are people saying that I disturbed their childhood? What did I do? What did you do to me? Right? And he says, Tony, you know, it's a compliment. Because if you're young and a film resonates with you in such a way that you remember it, they're going to remember it for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
You know, so I hope that's true. You know, if you ever feel the need to come visit me in a nursing home, and I'll be playing with all my little action figures. You know, say, Mr. Todd, you know, then you can bring me back to consciousness.
We will do that.
Thank you.
But I was 12.
Wow.
I was 12 in '92, and
Wow.
my mom actually rented it for me. I was already disturbed.
Blockbuster days.
Yeah, I was already disturbed by that. So it's like, you're gonna love this. And it's fun because it's one of those movies that she and I share.
Right.
And even now, I can call her, and if I want to freak her out, I'll say, "Looking in the mirror, Mom." And she'll go, "Don't do that to me, don't do that to me." But it's that lasting thing. And I know that a lot of actors and directors have a problem with something that is now so far in the past, being that thing that people still love so much. Do you ever feel any of that? Like, I still have my best work ahead of me. Why?
Yeah,
Like
well,
that?
I do, but no, I went through a period where it did bother me a little bit because, I've done well over 100 films. And if you ask me, is Candyman my favorite film? It's definitely the fan favorite, but there's other movies that are closer to my heart, things that I did. Like I did a lot of films for my daughter as she was growing up, where I played fathers, significant fathers, that probably are more emotionally connected. But I understand the business of it, that Candyman is, I can't control what you like, and you're able to like what you like, and I'm glad that you like something I did, which is better than not being liked at all. So.
One other point is you keep doing your best work no matter what you're
Yeah,
doing.
and it's not over yet. I haven't made my directing debut yet. Wait till that happens.
I would like to see that very soon.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of actors, and I'm an actor, so I know how to talk to actors because they're very peculiar people.
Yeah.
You gotta not